Have you ever noticed that the hardest parts of getting older aren't the ones people warned you about? Aches and pains are expected. But the truth is, after 70, aging doesn't just show up in your knees or your memory. It shows up in ways that quietly surprise you, ways that change how you move through your day, how you relate to others, and how you feel when you're alone with your thoughts. In this video, we're going to talk about the 7 hardest parts of growing older after 70. Not the stuff from health brochures, and not just the physical changes, but the deeper shifts, emotional, social, and personal, that no one really prepares you for. The parts that test your patience, stretch your heart, and sometimes leave you wondering if you're the only one feeling this way. What you'll hear today isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to name the things you've already felt, but maybe haven't said out loud. And once they're named, they lose some of their weight because when we understand what we're facing, we stop feeling like we're the only ones going through it. Stay with me until the end, because as difficult as these challenges may be, they also come with a quiet kind of strength, one that only people like you, who've lived through so much, can truly understand. Let's get started. Number 1, physical decline. You can finally feel there's a moment, sometimes small, sometimes sudden, when you notice your body doesn't bounce back like it used to. Maybe you reached for something and felt a twinge. Maybe you got up from a chair and needed a second. After 70, those little moments start adding up. And the truth is, no matter how much you prepare, the physical part of aging feels different when it finally arrives. It's not just about slower legs or stiffer joints. It's the realization that strength takes more effort. Now that your balance feels a little less certain, that even simple things like standing on one foot to put on a sock or walking across a wet floor require more awareness, more caution. It can feel like your body has quietly downgraded, and no one told you. I remember a man named George. He was 75 and had always been proud of his independence. He told me I used to shovel snow like it was nothing. Last winter, I had to sit down after 5 minutes. It wasn't the physical weakness that bothered him most, it was the emotional weight of realizing he couldn't rely on his body the same way anymore. He said it's like finding out a friend you've trusted suddenly stops showing up. And that's how many people feel. Not betrayed by their body exactly, but startled by how quickly things can shift. The same stairs you've climbed for years now make you pause. The energy you had in the morning doesn't carry through the day. And the changes aren't dramatic. They're subtle, but persistent. A slower walk, less grip strength, more size. What makes this so hard is the contrast. You still remember the energy, you still feel young in your head, but your body doesn't always match. That mismatch can be disorienting. And for many, it becomes a quiet source of frustration or even embarrassment. But here's the truth. Feeling that physical shift doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And you're not alone. Everyone who reaches this chapter faces it. The key is not to fight against it, but to adjust with it, to move a little slower, stretch a little longer, and listen more closely to what your body's telling you. It's not about giving up. It's about adapting. With grace, that's where the real strength shows up. Number 2, losing people more often than you expected. One of the hardest parts of growing older isn't what happens to your own body, it's what starts happening around you. Friends you've known for decades begin to disappear. A neighbor you used to chat with moves into assisted living. Someone you used to call once a week simply stops picking up the phone. And sometimes the loss is much deeper. At first, it's just a few. But after 70, it becomes more regular, more expected. And yet it never feels normal. No matter how old you are, losing someone who's been part of your life still hits you in a place that never quite toughens up. I once spoke with a woman named Elaine, who was 79 when her best friend of over 40 years passed. She told me, I've lost people before, but this one felt different. She was my memory, the only person who remembered who I used to be. That kind of grief goes beyond sadness. It's the feeling of losing part of your own story, like a piece of you quietly disappeared with them. And it's not just death that brings loss. Sometimes it's dementia. Sometimes it's distance. Sometimes it's people you love slowly becoming someone else, or just fading from your daily life without meaning to. The house feels quieter. The phone rings less. The calendar has more blank spaces. What makes this so difficult isn't only the loneliness, it's the unpredictability of it all. You don't know when the next call will bring hard news. You don't know when another chair at the table will be empty. And even when you try to prepare yourself, grief has a way of showing up sideways, through a song, a smell, a photo tucked into a drawer. There's no easy fix for this, but naming it helps. Because you're not weak for feeling heartache. You're human. And if you've made it past 70, chances are you've lost more than most people realize. That quiet courage it takes to keep going, to keep remembering, to keep loving despite the losses. That's something not everyone understands. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, feeling emotionally distant from your own family. It often happens slowly. You raise your kids, you support them, you stay close for as long as you can, but somewhere along the line you start to notice a distance. Maybe they call less often, maybe they're always too busy to visit, maybe the grandkids are growing up in a world that feels more like theirs than yours. It's not that they don't love you. It's not even that you've done anything wrong. It's just life. But that doesn't make it easier, and for many people after 70, this quiet emotional distance becomes one of the most painful and unexpected parts of aging. What makes it especially hard is that it often hides behind politeness. You'll hear, "We'll come by soon," or "We've just been so busy." And you understand because you remember what it was like to juggle kids, work, errands, everything. But still, you miss them. You miss being needed. You miss being asked for advice or being part of the little things. A man named Thomas, 82, once told me, "I raised 3 kids, I helped with down payments, watched their kids fix their cars, now I see them maybe once a month, if I'm lucky." He wasn't bitter, just quiet, a little tired. And he said something I'll never forget. "I used to be the center of their world. Now, I feel like a side note." That kind of emotional gap isn't always visible. You don't talk about it much because you don't want to make anyone feel guilty. But inside, it lingers. And it makes holidays feel a little lonelier, birthdays feel a little quieter, and ordinary days feel like something's missing, even if you can't say exactly what. But here's the thing, your value hasn't disappeared. It hasn't shrunk, it hasn't aged. What's changed is the pace of the world around you. And while you may not get back the closeness you once had, you can still build small bridges. A handwritten note, a photo sent by mail. Not because you're chasing after them, but because you're reminding them gently that you're still here, still loving, still listening. The hardest part isn't being alone. It's feeling forgotten. But even when the world moves fast, your presence still matters more than they often say. More than they may even realize. Number 4, watching the world you knew slowly disappear. There comes a time, sometime after 70, when you look around and realize things just don't look or feel the same anymore. The corner store you used to visit closed years ago. The park where your kids once played is now filled with new buildings. The music has changed. The language people use has changed. Even the way people talk to each other feels different. It's not just nostalgia. It's grief. Grief for the world you once knew. For the familiar. For the rhythm of life that made sense to you. And for many older adults, the shift isn't just disorienting. It's deeply unsettling. I once sat with a woman named Margaret, 83, who said, "Everywhere I go, I feel like a stranger in a place that used to feel like home." That kind of disconnection can be quiet but constant. It shows up at the grocery store when you don't recognize a single song playing overhead. It shows up on the street when people walk past without eye contact. It even shows up in your own neighborhood. When faces, languages, and customs shift around you faster than you can adjust to. What makes this change so hard is that you remember a different pace, a different set of values, a time when neighbors looked out for one another and people actually answered their phones. And while progress isn't bad, it can feel like your memories are being paved over. One building, one app, one new slang word at a time. It's a quiet kind of loss, but it runs deep because when the world starts to feel unfamiliar, it can make you feel invisible.
Like the life you lived, your experience, your wisdom, your history no longer fits in the picture.
But here's what's still true. Your presence holds value, your perspective still matters. And even when the world changes, your ability to offer kindness, insight, and calm doesn't go out of style. You may not be able to bring the past back, but you can carry it forward through your stories, through your manner, through the way you remind others, especially younger people, what real connection looks like. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5. Struggling with basic tasks you once did without thinking. One of the quietest shocks of aging is when everyday things suddenly become not so everyday. Simple actions, buttoning a shirt, tying your shoes, getting out of a low chair, start to feel like work. It's not that you forgot how. Your body just doesn't respond the way it used to. And what once took 5 seconds now takes a minute, sometimes more, and a bit of patience too. It's frustrating because it sneaks up on you. You don't notice it until you do. One day you drop your key
and realize it's harder to bend down than you remembered.
or you go to lift a bag of groceries and your back tenses up in protest. These little moments add up, and over time they chip away at your sense of control. A man named Harold, 78, once told me, "I never thought twice walking to the mailbox. Now I catch myself planning it like a trip." He wasn't being dramatic. For him, it meant thinking about the weather, the shoes he was wearing, whether he'd already been on his feet too much that day. The little things start requiring big energy, and that takes a mental toll too. What makes it harder is that these tasks are the ones that used to define your independence. Driving your own car, cooking your own meal, carrying your own laundry basket. When those start slipping, even just a little, it can feel like you're losing pieces of your freedom. And yet, this is where resilience shows up. Because every single adjustment you make is an act of strength. Using a cane isn't weakness. Asking for help isn't defeat. Choosing to sit and catch your breath doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're adapting. You're respecting your body and the long road it's carried you through. Aging doesn't take away your worth, but it does ask you to move through life more slowly, more deliberately. And if that frustrates you sometimes, that's okay. You've earned the right to feel that way. Just don't let that frustration steal your dignity, because it's still full of yours. Every step, every adjustment, every small victory still belongs to you. Number 6. Managing constant medical appointments and health worries. After 70, your calendar starts filling up with a different kind of commitment. Some weeks it feels like the hospital waiting room knows you better than your own living room. And it's not just the time it takes, it's the mental load of keeping track of everything, understanding what it all means, and wondering what's coming next. Even when things aren't urgent, they feel heavy. Because every appointment is a reminder that your body needs watching, that your numbers are being monitored, that there's always something new to follow up on. The peace of mind you once had about your health begins to feel like a luxury. And it's not just the physical side of things. It's the medications, the side effects, the stacks of paperwork, the confusion when 2 different doctors say 2 different things. You find yourself becoming a part-time secretary for your own body. writing down symptoms, asking the right questions, trying not to forget a single detail. A woman named Irene, 80, once said, "I feel like I spend more time in waiting rooms now than I do with my grandchildren." She didn't say it angrily. She said it with exhaustion, not just because of the hours it took, but because every visit came with a new concern, a new prescription, a new decision to make. This kind of constant vigilance wears on people, even if you've always been strong, even if you're grateful for good care. It still drains you because it's not just about surviving. It's about trying to live while also managing what feels like a full-time job of staying upright. And yet, through all that, you keep showing up. You take your pills, you ask your questions, you follow the instructions. You do it, not just because you have to, but because deep down, you still care about being here, about being present, about squeezing the most you can from the time you've been given. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7. Feeling invisible in a fast-moving world. Perhaps the hardest part of aging, harder than the pain, the loss, or even the medical worries, is the slow realization that the world doesn't see you the same way it used to. You're still here, still thinking, still full of stories and insight, but people pass you by without noticing. Sales clerks talk past you. Doctors rush through your questions. Younger folks assume you don't understand. You begin to feel, in moments both small and sharp, that your presence doesn't carry the same weight it once did. It's not loud. It's not cruel. It's just quiet, a kind of social fading. And you start to wonder, am I still seen? Am I still valued? Not just by my family or my old friends, but by the world around me. A man named Bill, 77, once said, "It's not that people are mean, they're just busy." And somewhere along the line, I stopped being someone they noticed. He wasn't looking for attention. He just missed being acknowledged, being asked what he thought, being spoken to directly, not talked over. It hurts. Not because of pride, but because deep down, all of us want to feel like we still matter, that we're still part of something, that the years we've lived in, the things we've learned haven't somehow become invisible, just because our hair turned white or our steps got slower. But let me tell you this, you are not invisible. You are not forgotten. What you carry, the wisdom, the resilience, the patience, it's needed now more than ever. And even if the world around you doesn't always recognize it, that doesn't take away its value. Sometimes being seen starts with how you carry yourself. Speak up, share your stories, take up space. Not out of defiance, but out of dignity. Because you've earned it, and no one has the right to take that away from you. Not time, not age, not noise. You're still here, still important, still worth listening to. That doesn't fade. That doesn't retire. That doesn't age out. Final thoughts. Getting older isn't just a number. It's a series of quiet reckonings. You wake up one day and realize your body moves differently. Your phone rings less. The places you loved are gone. The people you counted on are fewer. And the rhythm of life feels like it's moved a bit ahead of you. And through it all, you're still here, still adjusting, still showing up. We've talked about 7 of the hardest parts of growing older after 70. How your body shifts in ways that surprise you. How loss becomes a more regular visitor. How your family feels a little farther away. We've looked at the quiet grief of a changing world, the frustration of struggling with one simple tasks, the draining cycle of medical concerns, and the hardest truth of all, feeling unseen in a world that moves too fast. But here's something just as true. The fact that you're here, listening, reflecting, still growing. That speaks volumes about your strength. Aging may bring its challenges, but it also reveals your endurance. It peels back all the noise and shows what's steady underneath. So which of these parts stood out to you most? Which one made you nod or pause or feel a little less alone? Leave a comment below and share it, because sometimes just knowing someone else gets it, that's where healing begins. You've lived through more than most people will ever understand. And you're still becoming, still learning, still adapting. That's not weakness. That's quiet, dignified power. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found
and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.